I'm Ania Lichtarowicz, and this is Somewhere on Earth, and I'm in Doha. It is Monday, February the 1st, 2026, and we're at Web Summit Qatar. Welcome to the Global Tech Podcast. Coming up today, from local markets to global impact, technology today is rewriting what's possible and who gets to shape the future. As markets become more interconnected and competitive, the journey from regional success to global relevance is both an opportunity and a challenge. In this episode, we bring together senior leaders to explore how companies can build strong regional foundations while scaling their ambitions internationally, turning local strength into global influence. And then we head to Africa, where innovation is meeting one of the continent's most urgent needs. A team of Nigerian women is building a new health app designed to connect women with female-specific healthcare, faster, smarter, and closer to home. With some of the world's highest mortality rates for diseases like cervical and breast cancer, could this platform help women in cities and villages get support earlier, improve diagnosis, and ultimately save lives? From global strategy to life-changing innovation, this is Somewhere on Earth, the Global Tech Podcast. As competition intensify and borders matter less in business, scaling from a strong regional presence to real global impact takes more than ambition. It takes strategy, leadership, and timing. Today, we're diving into what it really takes to grow beyond your home market without losing what made you successful in the first place. We'll look at how companies can anchor themselves locally while thinking, operating, and competing internationally. And all this is possible thanks to technology and especially AI. To explore that journey, I'm joined by Marko Čadež, President of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, and Yasmin Kayali, Director of Brand at Deloitte. Thank you both for joining us today. Now, Yasmin, I'm going to start with you. Deloitte is a global brand. It has a world-class reputation. How do you adapt to local marketing when you're so used to dealing in the big wide world?
So actually, Deloitte's network is an advantage, but it is not a limitation. We leverage that network. We leverage that brand positioning that we have. Actually, Deloitte is one of the top brands globally, top recognized brands globally. We leverage the positioning of the brand, but we make it very locally applicable. So each and every campaign, we make sure that we adapt it to the region at the beginning and also to the different countries that we are in. So as the Middle East, as Deloitte Middle East, we're present in more than 15 countries. Each of these countries has its uniqueness, and this is what we try to identify, and this is what we try to speak to the clients and the consumers in each of these markets to what's relevant to them and what their needs are.
Because you not only do the marketing side of things, you also do the societal impact. So you have schemes for upskilling certain tech skills, for instance, or you could be doing some kind of environmental project. Is that all localized as well?
Exactly. So what we have as Deloitte Global is our world class and our world climate ambitions. And we sign up, of course, to these ambitions altogether as a global brand, but then the application in the markets, in each of the countries that we are active in, is relative to the needs of the market. So, for example, when it comes to the upskilling, depending on the gaps that exist in each of these countries, we adapt our programs and we adapt our interventions. But then we feed into that overall ambition of 200 million futures. But we play our part, and we play our part in having a real impact on the ground.
But also what you're doing is you're changing the way you do things, because before it was very much a strategy to take a Western campaign and just put it in the region, wasn't it? But now that is changing. You're very much localizing, and you're localizing to each culture.
Definitely. We're testing what works and what doesn't work in in each market. Our markets are maturing exponentially. Our markets have visibility. Actually, our markets, specifically within the Middle East and within the GCC, have become like the compass for other places. So some of what we're doing is being actually featured on the global brand space. So we're just launching our centennial campaign here in the Middle East. Deloitte has been in the Middle East for 100 years. And that campaign was loved so much, and the principle of that campaign for 100 years was loved so much that they took it and they leveraged it within the global brand space.
And you're able to do this because of technology and especially AI. So tell me a bit more about that.
So definitely, I think what AI has helped us to do is break down those conversational barriers, and that, I don't want to say miscommunication, but kind of the difficulty of passing along what is relevant to others. With AI and technology now, everybody is a team calls away. Right? And you can explain your position, you can work with any agency, anywhere, leverage the assets of any brand campaign, whether internal or external, for our communications, which allows, there is no limit, there is no ceiling now to your reach, and still you can be very regionally specific, whether in your targeting on social media, whether in the way that you position your brand, or even within the visuals that you use for your brand. So the same campaign can have multiple visuals depending on what is relevant to that market.
So you're kind of sliding and slotting in. You're not having to create a whole new
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Yasmin Kayali, Director of Brand at Deloitte, thank you so much for joining us. And you're now going to disappear because you are a very wanted woman and you're very busy at Web Summit Qatar.
Thank you.
We'll let you get off before we speak to Marko.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now, Marko Čadež, President of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, our listeners are going to be thinking, you know what? She was in Lisbon, Anya, at Web Summit, and she did this whole thing about Poland being, the heart of technology in Europe. And then we've also done that, Ukraine is the heart of maybe Eastern Europe. But Serbia too. Serbia is really forging ahead when it comes to technology. And this has been built up over time, over generations. Talk to me about how Serbia has made itself into this kind of tech supergiant.
Yeah, it was, as you said, it was really multiple year achievement, and it was about, everything is always about people. It's about talents, and you are right. We're talking about Poland, Ukraine, Serbia, Croatia, Slovak Republic, Czech Republic, Hungary. These are all countries that share some kind of the same history when it comes to science, university, academia. And this history is a very good educational system back at that time, founded on the STEM sciences, and much more and much better organized than in many Western European countries. And this actually provided the ground to raise. Of course, different countries organized differently. We in Serbia, being where we are and being in the specific geopolitical circumstances, so being still not yet in the EU, but very close to the EU, having association agreement with the EU, free trade agreement, but also having a free trade agreement with countries like China, or preferential agreement with countries like USA, or also something which we call special relations. Serbia never introduced sanctions to Russia, for example. It's very, very takes care about the politics and about the European way of Serbia. But still, it's different, and it made possible to also do something on the technological or innovation level what for many countries was not possible. 10 years ago, our country about 6.5 million people, and there was about 35,000 people working as software or IT engineers. And we exported at them about 370 million euros of software 10 years ago. Now we are same country with 6.5 million people, but we are exporting 4.5 billion euros. So we are 10 times bigger, 11 times bigger than we were just 10 years ago. How it is possible? And now we have 150,000 software engineers working in Serbia compared to 10 years ago. But it was possible because at that time, in the, let's say, 2010s, 2011s, we decided, let's go with the industry together. The government at that time, and many governments afterwards, decided, okay, what we need to do to build up on this strong basement, strong foundation of engineering experience, of industrial experience. And we had a very tough times in the 90s as a whole region. And we said, okay, we have to switch, or we have to overbridge few steps, so we have to go on the top. And then we invested a lot. The company publicly invested a lot in infrastructure, built science and technological parks, invested in 2021 in the first supercomputing platform built on NVIDIA chips. At that time, NVIDIA was still company making GPUs for gamers. And the government said, okay, I think we will need that. And we invested in data centers, also government owned, and give that platform and invited big companies to come to Serbia, give them the subsidies to open R&Ds in Serbia. What happened then is that we have major companies 10 years ago opening huge R&Ds because they saw talents, because they saw incentives, because they saw infrastructure coming to Serbia. Microsoft, more than 1,000 people, engineers, having R&D, one of the biggest R&Ds in Europe. And by the way, if you think about software like Microsoft Azure, a very huge part of Microsoft Azure was developed in Belgrade, in the R&D.
So you're encouraging all these big companies in.
Yeah.
You're building that kind of STEM base. And you're also teaching primary school children, aren't you? You have to learn to, I love this, you have to learn to code if you're a primary school child in Serbia.
9 years ago, in fact, we had the idea as an industry to also the IT industry, but the whole industry, to come to the government and say, let us together build a curricula and introduce coding as an obligatory in primary schools, from the class 5 to class 8, because we have 8 grades of primary school. And the government said, why not? Let's try it. Because we are small, we are centralized, it is possible. And we introduced it. Next year we started it, so it was like 8 years ago. And now we have 8 generation of young pupils from 5th grade, so 11 years, to finish the primary school. The obligation is to learn coding. It's not, as you and me, nobody asked us if we like chemistry. We had to learn chemistry.
You just have to do it, don't you? You've got no choice, have you?
No, it's not about that everybody will be an IT specialist, but it's about learning the master, the state of mind and the art of the thinking in that way.
And also you have a huge advantage with this generation coming up. They're coming up and they're living with, they're growing up with AI, because obviously that is disrupting
yes.
the system as well.
Just 3 years ago, when everybody was talking about AI, we introduced another class in the primary school, which is AI. So basically our kids are learning coding and AI together, which now is much appropriate because also the programming or coding is changing. And if you, from the very beginning on, learning how to deal with AI and what is AI in the world of, computer science, that is something different. And this is something which is, I think, as I told in the beginning, people, talents.
Now, just a quick shout out to our listeners. I've never heard of AI education being compulsory. So maybe if in your country that's happening, please do let us know. Otherwise, Serbia is unique. I am very impressed with that. Now, Marko, you lead the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, so a very important role, and one that obviously is going to have a huge impact on the economic growth of your country. Some people might think of it as quite traditional. These kind of bodies have been around for a long time, maybe even old-fashioned. How has that role changed since you've taken over? And because of the fast pace and the changes that we're seeing within technology, especially with AI, how is the Chamber of Commerce adapting? How are you adapting?
I have to say I had a little bit easier job when I was elected. At that time, it was 11 years ago. And since 11 years, I'm president of the Chamber of Commerce in Serbia. I had my own companies and working. And then we had the opportunity to write a new law on Chamber. We are Chamber by the law, which means there is a extra law on the Chamber of Commerce. And in this law, we totally reorganized the Chamber from the traditional chamber that you almost everybody of us knows in their countries, which are mostly conservative bodies, because they grew over time, to move the chamber from the trade facilitators, traditional trade facilitator, to something which is innovation and digitalization facilitator, was for us easier because we had a breakup. We wrote a new law and we said this is our new role. We established specialized team which only has to deal with digital transformation of SMEs. So we started with the program. We certified people from the IT community, from the innovation community, as a consulting for digital transformation. We sent them to the companies for SMEs. They went to the companies on the ground. They made strategies, and then implemented digital strategies in the companies. More than 6,500 SMEs went through this program. So basically, we tried. And this is because we had this kind of possibility to do that 11 years ago. And then we started from there to work really on this new role. And I think if you look in the chambers anywhere in the world, you will see they will succeed if they change their traditional law from facilitating the trades or just protecting the interest of the business community towards the government. It also changed. We are doing that also, but we are trying to push the government in the framework to invest more in the infrastructure for digital economy, to invest more, to bring us more funds to go outside, to go to the platforms and trade fairs and exhibitions all around the world with our companies. This is something which is our new role, especially in the new economy.
Marko Čadež, President of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, thank you very much, and I hope you might be able to stay for the podcast extra, so just bear with us. We're now going to bring in another one of our guests, so bear with us. Victoria is coming to join us, and as soon as she sat down and made herself comfortable, we will begin. So just bear with us, dear lovely listener. Brilliant. So now we're going to turn our focus to Africa, where technology is being built with purpose. A group of Nigerian women entrepreneurs is developing a healthcare app aimed at making women's medical support more accessible, whether you live in a major city or a rural community. At a time when outcomes for illnesses like cervical and breast cancer remain among the toughest on the continent, their platform is designed to help women reach care sooner, navigate diagnosis, and connect with the right services before it's too late. Now, they're here at Web Summit Qatar with a clear mission: secure the backing to bring this idea to life. With more than 30,000 attendees over the next 3 days, they're hoping to catch the attention of investors to help turn innovation into impact. Now, Victoria Okundaye, if I pronounce that correctly. Yeah. So you come from Débbo Africa.
Correct.
Right. So tell me more about what you're developing.
Okay, thank you so much. Débbo Africa is a women's health organization, and we're on a mission to make quality healthcare more accessible for African women. And we've been around for quite a while, but now we're leveraging technology to enhance this mission, right? So we've built an application called My Débbo. It's a digital platform, a digital health platform that connects women to care. It meets women where they are. So what this platform does is women can get connected to a wide range of specialists. They can get access to virtual consultation. They can also get in-clinic and at-home diagnostic services because we run a hybrid model. And then they can receive follow-up care that truly listens to them. And this is especially important because we have identified a gap when it comes to accessibility to quality health, especially in Africa. The statistics are there. The number is there. In Nigeria alone, over 15 million women lack access to quality care. By the time I'm age 50, nearly 80% of my peers will be diagnosed with fibroid, unfortunately, and oftentimes diagnoses come too late. This is the case. This is the this defines what healthcare is in Africa. And this is why we've built my Débbo app, to meet women exactly where they are, to bridge that gender health gap and to make quality healthcare easier and faster for women.
Now, the gender health gap exists everywhere in the world. It is smaller in some places, but it is there because the medical research has been done made primarily on white men. And it's so huge in Africa because not only is it women, but it's women of colour mainly a lot.
True.
And the healthcare infrastructure is really quite young, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what the best way of describing it is,
limited.
but it's very limited.
Limited, yes.
So kind of leapfrogging over a few steps that maybe Europe had to go through, you are now providing a service and getting people connected to those few specialists who are out there. How much of a difference do you think this is going to make?
It's going to make a huge difference. So in Africa, what typical healthcare looks like is from a time a woman gets a first symptom to when she is matched with the right specialist, it takes months, sometimes close to a year, about 300 days. And this is, if you get 10 women and ask them, 8 or 9 of them would have a similar case or they know somebody who has gone through this. So the need is enormous. But in terms of usage, we have millions of African women who are also digitally active and who would embrace this. It takes away the hassle of the long wait times in the hospital. It takes away the thought of, I don't want to go to the hospital because I don't want to get dismissed. And this has happened time and time again. So the need is there, and we know that once we are fully launched, once the app is out to the large public, the adoption will be very high, and definitely we're going to see the impact in not just in Africa, but in women's health globally.
And also there's a stigma issue attached, isn't there? Because, culturally and due to lack of education, women especially can feel embarrassed about some of the conditions.
Yeah.
Even things like cancer is still considered a bad word.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Especially in parts of Africa. And then when you add other words onto that, like breast cancer or cervical cancer, even talking about periods is still taboo. Do you think this will allow women to kind of forego that stigma and say, actually I can just do this on my app on my phone, no one needs to know?
Yes, that would definitely happen. At Débbo Africa, we do a lot of health awareness. We are very big on awareness. We teach women about these things and we let them know that they shouldn't, stigmatize these things. And thankfully, women, and not just women, people are beginning to embrace and understand this thing. But what we're doing is we're moving away from just awareness to action. And definitely with this app, women would feel more comfortable because they are accessing care from the comfort of their home. They're not with a male specialist, which is not a bad thing. But then there's this they're a bit hesitating when they want to express themselves because of the stigma that you've just mentioned. But when they're accessing care digitally and they know that they're speaking with a woman of color, because this care that we render is culturally relevant. So when they know that this is somebody who understands what I'm going through experientially, not just theoretically, it gives them more comfort. They feel more comfortable to open up about whatever issue they're going through.
And what are the next steps? So you're going to start trialing this in Nigeria?
So in terms of next step, we're in the last phase of our beta testing. So we're hoping to launch towards the end of Q1, right? We already have a long list of women on our wait list, just waiting for us to launch the app so that they can adopt. To have thousands of women already on our wait list. So in terms of next step, we're just finalizing the beta testing to ensure that in terms of regulation, everything on this app is 100% ready for women to start using. And then, we'll go into full launch and start delivering care. And just to add, at Débbo Africa, we already deliver this care traditionally, right? We're just now enhancing this through technology, through my Débbo app.
So you have the experience, you've got the knowledge, you're just going to now add the tech.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Victoria Okundaye.
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 Yes.
Thank you for correcting me. Thank you for joining us on
Thank you so
Somewhere
much for
on
having
Earth.
me.
Now, hopefully you're also going to stay behind for the Pod Extra. So that's all for the main programme, though, this week. Just a quick reminder that we have all the shows on our YouTube channel, so please go and check us out there. You can also subscribe at pod.fan for just $10 a month to hear even more of these guys and even more of Web Summit. Now, the sound engineer today is Jonas Diaz, the production manager is Liz Toohey, and I'm the editor. Until next week, bye-bye.